Right now, he also looked up at Go Young-san of the manor and knew that Pyo Wol was closely observing the situation. He couldn't feel surprised because of everything that happened. There is a good reason for something like this. In addition, there is still another thought related to the large manor. Battles that use terrain include many different ways. Various shortcuts and tricks. Arrange locations so that as long as there is a competent guard, entry will be impossible. This is another version of a place that exists it, or we can say a copy. The people who made this place want us to get used to it and get used to killing people. One day they will also lure us in again in terrains like this. If there is a house that big, it means that this place is the manor of a large family or someone with considerable influence. The consequences will be very serious. Big if they intend to attack recklessly. This is why they take advantage of us, because they only see us as tools that can be thrown away after each use. They wants to transform all of these children into hell and completely destroy their nature. Pyo Wol doesn't know who they are yet, but with his speculations, he understands the high possibility that those people want to transform the children. I accidentally became an assassin here. As a martial artist, meditation is extremely important, and right now Pyo Wol has achieved results when his dantian has accumulated a small amount of aura. Practicing the mind lightning method, if you are mature in the first step, you will be reborn with a physical body that can accumulate internal energy and feel the energy. To feel the energy, the teachers all said that you must be trained. That is what Pyo Wol needs. Must do now. For children, of course, even the teachers, this is the first step to feel like they all don't fully understand the method of dividing the mind. Second mind, this method, as described in the book, has the power to tear apart like lightning. If it is more realistic, it is impossible to tear apart lightning with human strength. This mantra is speed of thinking, in other words, maybe it has meaning in the mind. If you achieve this understanding in your mind and then practice the method of dividing the mind, you will definitely achieve different achievements than before. Even if you learn martial arts in front of others, you shouldn't show it off. If you don't stand out too much, don't love too much, and don't receive any attention, it's good. That's why Pyo Wol lived in such a way so that no one would pay attention to him, especially the trainers. As usual, training, suddenly there was a spear coming towards him, startling Pyo Wol. It turned out there was a kid. The child nearby was using deadly blows on his body. Just missed, but he showed an evil smile that normal children don't have. Knowing that the opponent intended to kill him. So Pyo Wol had to immediately ask why he did that. A rather tasteless answer, because he thought that fighting for real wouldn't be interesting. Right after that, he started to frown. I wanted to strangle them all like Yom Il Yung. However, with the leader here, I couldn't express it. That boy still deliberately wanted to fight, so Pyo Wol had to give him satisfaction. Use all your strength or your family will be eaten. It rushed in at a fairly fast speed, sizzling and playing back and forth like a tiger playing with its prey. This is quite useful when confusing the opponent and creating an opening, and this is a very clear purpose. Not only does he run fast, but this guy also has a lot of hidden weapons and shoots at Pyo Wol. After struggling for a while, he went around behind him and pulled out the hidden weapon and launched it at him again. Nearly a dozen needles shot straight, but at this time the male lead still didn't know anything. Before that, like everyone else, knowing that Pyo Wol has very strong five senses. It is possible that right now his sixth sense has developed because he has sensed all the movements of the hidden weapon, after reaching a certain range. Pyo Wol definitely turned around quickly to assess the situation. His body suddenly jumped up and rotated a few times, dispelling dozens of dangerous hidden weapons. This was a perfect opportunity so the other boy rushed from behind with a sharp knife. He used all his strength to stab hard, but Pyo Wol turned around and blocked it. The two knives collided with fire and the child's face was full of fire. That freckle slid forward. Not tired at all, he leaned forward with one hand still stabbing the knife in the direction where Pyo Wol stood. At this time, the male protagonist used his hearing to listen because there was no one there. His growing eyes on the back of the head. After one shot, he quickly brought his weapon out to block the terrifying speed. If that doesn't work, he will do it on the other side, so the opponent's figure is rising higher. According to such an effect, the temperature of the duel increased faster than ever. Seeing this way of fighting, Tam Kiem was feeling quite surprised. He didn't think these homeless guys were so talented in martial arts. Pyo Wol and his opponent were fighting a very even match. From before until I learned martial arts. His whole body curled up and created a whirlwind, causing the boy to be knocked out. From the beginning until now, he had only been on defense without responding. His face was pale. You're gritting your teeth like that. How are you able to block all of my classy moves? But why is it no longer interesting to just defend if you do that? It screamed louder and asked Pyo Wol to fight back so that he would be inspired to fight again. After saying that, the boy howled for a while and continued to charge. At this point, the male lead has no choice but to deal with the crazy genre. Like this. He slowly walked towards it and let go of the knife in his hand, which was his only defense. This action caused the audience watching from the screen to have many questions at. Not only that, but even the three swords opened their mouths behind that strange mask. When the freckled face saw that, did they think that their opponent was so scared that they gave up? Answer: as for that question, it was just Pyo Wol's very careful concentration. He let it approach and saw the loophole and also gave him a kick in the stomach. This group is quite strong, so the boy coughed and coughed out a huge pool of blood. It turned out that this guy was too weak for Pyo Wol. Just kicking him was like he was about to die. From afar, Nyat Kiem and Nhi Kiem expressed satisfaction with the level of maturity of the assassins like this. If that were the case, then this school wouldn't need 7 years but could only start in 5 years. Hearing the words of acceptance Nhi Kiem's review, Nyat Kiem replied that you have underestimated your opponent too much. That man is so talented that he is called the number 1 in the city of Sichuan. To deal with such a person, we just need to try our best. Trying hard is not enough. If there is a mistake, the blood spirit group can disappear. Isn't that the reason the group leader takes back and trains children who have nothing to do with them? Blood spirit group, even if we fail, it won't leave us any harm. So this is the only purpose for which these assassins have worked so hard to prepare. They don't need to know if they succeed or not, as long as people don't recognize who did it, that's the most important thing. Nyat Kiem asked Nhi Kiem to teach killing techniques to the children. Nhi Kiem is afraid that many children will not be able to stand it. This is not important because human life is just trash to Nyat Kiem. Mr. Tam wants everyone to survive. One must become strong just like Pyo Wol. Also from this observation, in the match the male main character pulled the opponent's arm back and then he simply broke it. See, while his arms were becoming weak, Freckled Face began to scream in fear. Because he ran out of hands to fight, he knelt down and sobbed. At such an important moment like this, all the trainers are waiting to see what the male lead's next move will be. With the mentality of an assassin, killing the opponent is a relatively normal thing. The male lead is always hesitant. Let's see how to deal with this naughty child. No matter what he did or what his attitude was, he was still very young and it was clearly his unfortunate fate to come to a place like this and became a villain. While having a headache, a familiar voice rang out. What are you doing? It turned out that the first sword and the second sword had gone down directly. With the way Pyo Wol couldn't understand how to move so fast. He seemed surprised because since when had they been here? Just as he turned around to say hello, a shot rang out. The sword has slipped out of its sheath. It's so fast that only when you know the sword is at your neck can you detect it. Pyo Wol's face was all wrinkled and sweat was pouring down, making his mind no longer calm. The speed of the sword was so fast that the naked eye could not see it. How could someone draw a sword and swing it so abnormally fast? The atmosphere is becoming too quiet, but only Pyo Wol's beating heart can be felt. He blames himself for whether he has committed a mistake or gone beyond the limit. In the end, all they want is to control humans as working tools. In his mind, the male protagonist now understands that he will definitely die if he saves like this. Then suddenly he put down his weapon. He didn't say anything but immediately turned towards the children whose eyes were wide open. It seemed like this was just a threat as well as a threat. I want others to understand the problem. An assassin will not leave a trace under any circumstances. Breaking his wrist and leaving such a mark is like giving it to someone else. Know martial arts and your identity. Remember that you must never leave any traces. This is what the sword told you over and over again. Pyo Wol could not easily decide what to say. So he chose to be silent. As soon as he saw the trainers leave, the male lead's breathing was revealed. There was too much holding back inside, and this time, looked like a stroke of luck. Time continued to pass until 6 years later. Right now, as usual, this is still a test that this group of assassins gives to children. Maybe we no longer call them children but rather teenagers. With his sharp eyes, a red-hooded assassin is looking for child assassins hiding around the manor. From the pile of rubble, it was clear that he had discovered a few unusual points. Then the sword sheath also stabbed hard towards the place where a person was hid. As soon as the weapon touched him, he started to frown and cry out in pain. If I were the enemy, you would probably have died a long time ago. This sentence is also that's right, and this person doesn't have anything to refute. Just like that, the other person continued to slowly move inside to look for the others. Even though I practiced hard, if you use the technique of reincarnation, if you lack experience, it will eventually be exposed. Talking about the technique of reincarnation, this is a technique to erase traces by pretending to be dead. One by one, each member of the group of child assassins was discovered one after another. The red-hooded assassin said that if he kept hiding like this, he would only lose his life. Right now, all that's left is there is exactly one person and everyone knows who that person is. With his observant eyes and many years of experience, I wonder how he will find the male lead. Next time in turn, each key location where it is easiest to disguise is targeted. However, there is nothing suspicious or unusual. I heard that someone is hiding here, isn't that true? How could it not be here? Even if you look no matter how carefully, I can't feel the feeling of a living person. Why is it like that? After saying that, he angrily stabbed his sword into the ground because he couldn't find anyone else. If you can't find it, you will definitely have to move to other locations to search. Right after you were about to leave, you suddenly discovered something unusual. From right under your feet, a certain movement was very small but was left in this person's eyes. I can't believe that I am an assassin and could be startled. Pyo Wol was so reckless when he deliberately hiding right near that person's position. Immediately after seeing this, the other person also asked to reveal their identity. Taking off the disguise, one can see a relatively mature face of male protagonist. The training is over, so can I rest now? Because it was impossible to find this person, the assassin had to agree. It seemed like he had a lot of things to say to the male protagonist but didn't know where to start. So then finally had to speak up to tell him something. Not sure what it was, but a moment later Pyo Wol went to Yo Wol's group. Right now everyone is grown up and not who appear to be innocent children with countless sins. Who came here? How could such a noble person be here? In response to that question, Pyo Wol said that the other person's face was changing in a scared way. When asked about this, he didn't know if it looked like the face of a dead person or not. He replied while chewing that it had gone down the hole a long time ago. That's why I could use it. If you did that, you would forget it forever. My main face doesn't care much about this because of you. I understand that no matter what, I can't get out of here. The male lead doesn't think so, but he's sure he can do it. This is a statement full of meaning and makes the other person become angry. So I'm very curious. Regarding Go Young-san's question, Yo Wol calmly explained next to her. She said that recently the quality of the food sent is quite good. Because they are naturally ambitious people, these teenagers are definitely making a plan. There is no need to guess too much because everyone understands that leaving here is a safe wish. At the same time, it's unclear what the instructors are doing. Nyat Kiem is still tired and seems to dislike this hard training job even though he has been doing it for many years. The mask was also removed and revealed the true face of an experienced assassin. In the past 6 years, there have been a total of 300 children living here and only 30 were chosen to become assassins. After all, the Wanderer is an extremely harsh place. If you don't know how to kill people, what will you do? Compared to starting from the bottom of society, these little fairies are happy. Even though he is old, this person doesn't understand why he still has the same feelings as before. While walking here, the study door was opened. End of work. Usually the three of them sit together to discuss the day's work. Seeing that the boss had taken off his mask, Tam Kiem immediately voiced his curiosity. Just a little annoyed because I've been suffering for over 6 years, but if you feel like that, just take it off. That's right, so they both looked at each other meaningfully. During these years, they were not allowed to leave here, so everyone felt exactly the same. There is a saying that for 1 sword, 2 swords and 3 swords have slowly taken off the mask. For these assassins, wearing a mask is not only to want others not to know their true face, it is also true. In fact, it also has the effect of helping them not feel guilty every time they kill someone. At times like this, even just a glass of wine is enough to make us feel regretful. After hearing that sentence, both junior brothers' faces became happy because they knew that if they could go out, it would be very comfortable because the deadline was about to come. What if they make it to the 7th year? If there's anything special, the children will be assassinated and we will be freed from here. Speaking of this, I need to ask more carefully about the situation of the children now. More than expected, they have surpassed the standards of the first spear. The second sword replied that he felt it would be a pity if he only used it once and then threw it away. Lim Sayul is no more. There is no other way because before doing this, there was already a contract. This person sadly told the 2 disciples that now there was only one final test left to finish the job. Pulling it from his pocket, he also held out a martial arts book in front of him. Everything went smoothly, and after only a few hours of sleep, the weak children had now become very strong. There were many shops. The 5 are standing very neatly and in front of them are 3 more books. 3 of you will have to master this martial art. The remaining 27 people will have to secretly attack and kill 3 people had mastered that martial art. To begin with, everyone's eyes became trembling after Lim Sayul's words ended. If he said so, it was obvious that he wanted the children slaughtered each other. Whatever happens must happen eventually, so no one wants to do such a thing. Frankly speaking, no one dares to speak up because from the beginning the regulations only allowed only speak when you agree, so listening is a must. After this training ends, you won't need to obey anything until you leave here. Any other training period. Let's temporarily ignore the other stories of killing each other. As soon as they heard about leaving here, everyone became very sobbing. The children did not believe this was true because been here for nearly 7 years. I never thought I would be able to leave here one day because everyone is looking forward to it. Pyo Wol has her own calculations after hearing the final exam. That, if 3 people die, will the remaining 27 people be preserved and can those people rest comfortably until they get out? As for the male lead, he thinks this test is clearly a test. The bait is laced with poison. People who learn martial arts will become targets for other children. The rate of that martial arts book may be very high because after all, it is the cause of being assassinated. This was worth being ambitious and leaving here, so without any hesitation Pyo Wol applied for his first martial arts training position. He raised his hand and loudly told the head teacher that he would learn it. This also means that no matter who the next 2 people will be, the other 27 people will definitely hunt down Pyo Wol. Pyo Wol expressed he was confused and immediately asked if his friend was considered a sacrifice. Sacrifice or a hungry wolf, time will soon tell. You better be careful. Be careful that everyone present here will target you. If you don't say it, it will be redundant, and if you say it, it will make you even more worried, but it will also increase the male protagonist's determination to leave here. Just like that, without announcing or starting, the contest gradually entered its final steps. This unfortunate teenager chose to study martial arts books instead of being the chaser, so he lost his life. The person who did that was none other than Song Cheon-woo. After the first killings, this nth killing did not make him feel regretful. He learned martial arts through there. The lottery might be a bit unfair, but it can't be helped. Now there's only one left who learned martial arts from that book. While thinking about Pyo Wol, another person is also nearby. Hear and describe the scene here as literally deadly. My mood is getting more and more excited. From beginning to end Yi Min always followed this group, and also I know that only Pyo Wol is the final target. Haven't seen him in a long time. Could this guy have escaped? Pyo Wol is the team leader and also has good vision. Most people think that the male lead is still inside, but people haven't discovered it yet. The last time I saw him was a few days before starting this training. Having said that, I also remember the scene when I practiced martial arts with Pyo Wol. Maybe you should throw that sword away. It's strange. It seems like you're not afraid of the sword. You just kept blocking attacks all this time. These incomprehensible words made the male lead curious. In fact, at that time Pyo Wol wanted to advise Pyo Wol, but those words were definitely useless. Why don't we killing the leaders seems to be much easier than killing Pyo Wol. After hearing Go Young San's confession, Song Cheon-woo also had to nod in agreement. But those people, it won't be easy to leave us to do things on our own without any preparation. They've clearly placed some kind of taboo on us. Actually, this is a thinking very deeply, and Pyo Wol asked everyone to focus on finding Pyo Wol first. In general, there was no other way, but if they rebelled, everyone would definitely die. Of course it will be a very painful death that no one wants to happen because they all want to go outside. After the backs of all 4 people leave, the footsteps of the male lead appear. He felt quite excited about Go Young San's idea of killing the leaders. In the past 6 years, the male protagonist has done things that others considered impossible. Therefore, the opportunity being out here is the only thing I can do. It's not easy to give that lucky chance to someone else. Right now the teachers are probably busy watching the kids looking for me. After all, they can't neglect and unmonitor people who think like that. It turns out that Pyo Wol also has his own calculations. If that's the case, then now is the time. This is a great opportunity to dig up their true purpose. After a while, he deliberately went to the place where the leaders were. This is an extremely good place. Very carefully guarded, and it's not easy to get in or out. Not only that, but there are also assassins with very high qualifications. It's difficult to say, but for the male protagonist, it's not like there's no way to get through. Pyo Wol plans to do the hiding and breaking in at the same time. The teacher said that when moving the body, it will immediately return. The Dharma will be applied. However, if you divide your breath through mental lightning Dharma, things will be different. It will help you have the ability to act while reducing your presence to an extreme level. Limit. Being able to move skillfully so as not to touch the scope of human perception. This is exactly what he has done. Pyo Wol's shadow creeps through every corner and close. It's like there's no breath at all, it's like a ghost. Maybe because the security at the entrance is too tight, everything inside becomes very lax. Knowing that's the case, but I still don't lose the vigilance of an assassin. This is a deadly place. If you are even a little careless, your existence will be revealed and the spearmen will attack immediately. After while walking along a long hallway, I finally reached the deepest place where the swordsman worked. Fortunately, Lim Soyul did not appear because he was too engrossed with the other 27 children. As soon as he escapes from this place, of course he needs to find out what the real purpose of being brought here is. To escape the noose that binds himself, the top priority is to find out information about this organization. To begin with, the male protagonist rummaged through everything he thought he could keep to choose the secret he was hoping to get. After all, the people who raised us, who are these assassins? Pyo Wol couldn't find anything about the location or how to get out. Instead, he found a very strange item that looked just as eye-catching as the original story. We have seen. Inside this small box, after being opened, we also discovered a letter. Its content is temporarily recorded as follows: personally transmitted to the Blood Spirit Group requesting to haunt to assassinate Wu Gun Sang for a period of 7 years. The amount of money will be 500,000 taels of gold with the condition that no trace is left behind related to the Blood Spirit Group. To put it more easily, this is an entrustment letter from someone. Is the male protagonist he needed to know who the other person was, but he was very curious about what the person being targeted for assassination would look like. In his mind, he created many questions, not knowing whether Wu Gun Sang was a dangerous character or not. Is it so dangerous? Why did he bring us here for 7 years to experiment with killing and raise us as assassins? 270 people out of 300 died and he was a valuable character. While thinking about this, a noise came from outside, making Pyo Wol startled. The male protagonist could feel the presence of people coming in from outside. Then he hastily returned the letter to its original place, and that person was none other than Nyat Kiem. With his many years of experience, he was acting very suspicious. Although not yet stepping into the study room, Lam Xa Yen understood that there was something very vague and difficult to explain. Surely this head teacher knew that someone had broken into his study room. He began opening the door, made a very loud sound as if it made the person hiding inside panic. The room remained the same, the basic items were not changed at all. However, even though he moves quickly, the male lead still doesn't have much experience. After neatly rearranging it, it seems to have left some rather special traces. As the owner of this room, he could sense that something had subtly changed. Then, to make sure of this, he immediately called the two junior brothers over. When they heard the news of an intruder, Nhi Kiam and Tam Kiam were immediately present. As soon as they saw the boss, they appeared very surprised with the murderous aura radiating around them. This is very difficult to catch. It will be even more difficult when you are training assassins like that. Suddenly Tam Kiam asked why. Someone broke into my room. You can't completely escape from this place yet, so find it quickly. Actually, after hearing this sentence, both of you started to become more confused. Knowing that, Nhi Kiam still I want to ask if Nyat Kiam has guessed who he is. I don't see any child with a better record than him in infiltration. If you're listening to this sentence, everyone knows he has. I guess it's Pyo Wol. There's no need to say his name before his differences. The male lead has made the leader pay attention from the time of training until now. It's dangerous because right now here I am on the ceiling. Below are all assassins with many years of experience, but I don't understand why they can't feel it. Truly speechless, everyone is chasing. Why did this guy break in here? If it's left like that, problems will definitely arise, but if there's no punishment and there's real evidence, the children will definitely strongly object. Should we direct the children's objections towards Pyo Wol? Hearing this sentence, both junior brothers wanted him to explain the situation more clearly. Not sure how it would turn out. But Lim Sayul needs to use the hellish spear. Both the two swords and the three swords were shocked when they heard that. Lim Sayul said that it would be inappropriate to use that thing because it is forbidden. The final mechanism. Anyway, it is a process that they will only have to go through once. Nyat Kiam emphasized that not only the searching children but Pyo Wol himself must go through it. It's time to let them know who the real master of their lives is. So in an easy-to-understand way, that method will probably be the thing to suppress all those people having thoughts of rebelling like Yo Wol. Do you agree to use the hell pepper? Because he is the person with the highest position, both of them no longer have any opinions. A moment later, Lim Sayul went to the highest place of this place and prepared to blow the flute. In his heart he silently said that right now he will show these children what hell is like. Below, one can vaguely see that they are still diligently looking for the male protagonist. In reality, the action Pyo Wol's story is implicating the lives of those 27 people. They didn't know that the male lead's hiding place could be so special. Even though they searched every corner, the real Yo Wol I can't understand where he is anymore. The other children were angrier because they were too impatient to know what Pyo Wol did. Even the children who boasted knowledge about tracking found no trace, neither in the training area nor here. Where could they have been? Right at this moment, the ghostly sound rang out. Because they had been affected before, everyone's spine felt cold. For the time being, we could only guess that it was just a musical instrument sound, but it seemed like this very scary. Gradually, the children's heads began to become dizzy, their ears ringing and their bodies felt quite painful. These symptoms appeared a bit late for the body. Yo Wol's body. She also suffered the same as the rest and unconsciously lay on the ground. The longer that melodious sound lasted, the more painful the pain became. It was like there was hundreds of thousands of poisonous ants are tearing themselves apart. Yi Min's tears unconsciously flowed out because it was like being chopped into 100 pieces. Right now, step forward. The male lead's feet have moved forward. Perhaps he has successfully escaped from that study room. His eyes turned to Yi Min's place and became quite worried. It's unclear whether these images were obtained. Did the leaders from above observe or not? Pyo Wol didn't say anything but only muttered the last few words. They had activated the ban. Pyo Wol also heard the sound. This echoed throughout the training area, but unlike the other children, he did not feel anything unusual. Of the 27 children, not one of them was okay because of rolling around on the cold ground. Pain. Even one person doesn't know anything and thinks this can't happen. Sharp sound is like its name, so people are suffering a lot when suffering endure this discomfort. The male lead's eyes became colder because he knew that they had activated the ban. His own self at this time could not be said to be unaffected, however it's just a bit of an earache. This is the moment the male lead's speculation comes true. Everyone is oppressed and he is the only one who is stable. Why am I the only one who is still stable? Normally, if that's the case, we need to find out the cause. Yi Min is someone Pyo Wol cares about a lot, so he took the initiative to impart some internal energy to help reduce the pain a bit. Here is a very dangerous behavior because Yi Min learned the same lightning mind magic, so there won't be too much conflict. If it's not a matter of internal energy, what's the difference between me and them? As expected, there are countless questions that need to be explained that the male protagonist cannot answer right now. Everyone lives the same, eats the same food, has the same environment, and has the same martial arts. Besides that, is there something else? In just a moment, Pyo Wol remembered the image of the baby snake and realized that the difference was poison. If the ban was related to poison, it could explain why he was the only one who was normal. In this situation, you have been bitten for a long time, so you have the ability to withstand the poison. How can you awaken the hidden poison in these 27 bodies at the same time? It can't be activated by sound alone, so what if the thing in our body is not poisonous but is worm? For example, if we mixed the poison gurus with food and water, fed it to us and then stimulated the poison gurus with sound, what would happen? Just when those thoughts were almost being explained, the voices of the teachers started to ring out, causing the male protagonist to pay attention. All of these children were lying around on the ground, pointing. I'm the only one. So if you just stand still and appear unharmed, it's too dangerous. According to the red shirt assassins, we will need to gather the children around this area to check. One very strange thing is that Pyo Wol doesn't know what to do right now, whether he should run away or not. If so, I don't know what to do. If I have the ability to withstand the toxins, I will be discovered. Until now I can't let them see that I'm different from the rest of these kids. This is a pretty smart thought because if I show if you are different and stand out, you will definitely create danger for yourself. So the male lead has to play an unwanted role once again. Right in front of you is the leader right now. He was showing terrible pain. His face was all wrinkled up and that was unbearable compared to everyone else. As soon as he saw that the person who needed to find the first spear was gone, Pyo Wol also is here. From above, the sword was immediately present and inspected. Without any hesitation, he immediately pulled out the sword and pointed it straight towards where he was lying. A very powerful slash. He was so strong that he didn't hold back and wanted to take Pyo Wol's life. It stabbed straight into the left shoulder blade, causing drops of blood to splatter everywhere. The male lead's face remained the same as before. And a question rang out, "What did you see in my room?" There was no answer, only pain and suffering appeared right in front of the sword's eyes. Time passed. You've done a great job of hiding your achievements, haven't you? This prominent guy sticking out like a chisel when he grows up cannot be buried in the normal way. But with such trouble, it would be best to kill them all now. Nyat Kiem he pulled out his sword again and Pyo Wol unconsciously cried out in pain. As he was planning to kill him with one sword, suddenly two swords rushed forward to stop him. His stealth technique was very outstanding. It's really necessary for this entrustment, you know it's impossible. The other children are enough and controlling this one is not an easy task. We're going to hell, so at any time you can control it. You also see that it is being unable to move because of the ancient poison. With those words, the male lead acted even more deeply and showed that I couldn't stand it anymore. After regaining my composure, Nyat Kiem became silent again. There was no other way but he asked the people under him to give the children drink the antidote. So Pyo Wol successfully fooled these veteran assassins. After taking the antidote, all the children no longer felt much pain. However, they had to wonder what happened and why their bodies became like that. Everyone who received this punishment is because of Pyo Wol. If that guy hadn't broken into our place, such a thing would never have happened. The next time you act voluntarily like this, all of you will have to suffer the same pain. Today, there is nothing more and the training is over. The male protagonist returns to his residence and thinks about what the second sword said. He also sees that it is being poisoned by ancient poison. I can't move anymore. This is a sentence that is imprinted in my mind very clearly. One thing is for sure, the snake's poison after being used for a long time is gone. Has miraculous effects. If snake poison can control this ancient poison, I'm lucky because I can escape the restriction they have set. It's true that in times of misfortune, there is good fortune. I'm sure Pyo Wol would love to be with the snake too. Before returning, he also made an appointment with all the people he was close to here. One of those people also including Yi Min, and the girl felt very scared when Pyo Wol was really here or what. According to the male lead, he also asked these people to come to him to declare a few things. Important. Is it really cruel that he has to stay here alone? It's been a long time since he had time to rest, but he has to practice every day. This guy is really hard to predict. Refusal everyone and choose to be in such a gloomy place. All three understood that the reason for the pain from before was from the male lead. At that time he was blamed by the children for that's the thing, so even if you go out, there's no other way. Anyway, it's really hard to find. Where is this kid hiding? Go Young San is talking about this, but it's unclear who the male lead is. I've been with them since when? All three became scared and made very panicked faces when they heard his voice. I almost lost my heart and had to fight again. An hour, this kid. Actually, it's not like Pyo Wol invited us to come talk. Maybe it was because of his two confusing thoughts that Yo Wol took the initiative to make an appointment to meet him. According to what he said, he didn't want to fight or kill anything but just wanted to talk. Without having to beat around the bush, the group leader immediately asked about the details of the ban. You know what our restrictions are, right? Until we fell down, you weren't there, but after you regained consciousness, why were you right next to us? It means you approached us after the ban was launched, which means you were not affected or were less affected than us. Actually, with your intelligence Yo Wol alone was able to read everything. When my mind became hazy due to extreme pain, someone transferred my internal energy, so in this way I was able to endure it. Yi Min, I also realized the reason why. Yo Wol started asking again and again what the ban that was initiated was for them. When it comes to such a situation, the male protagonist doesn't need to deny or hide anything anymore. Everyone understood that, but when they heard the words from Pyo Wol's mouth, they all looked surprised. I knew what restrictions were applied already given to us. Along with this statement, the fact that you broke into Nyat Kiem's study room is very accurate. Please tell us what that restriction is, Yo Wol shouted. Knowing is one thing, but whether to say it or not is up to the male lead, and why do you think you have to do that? Why? Why do I have to let everyone know, and what benefits will I get? Go Young San also screamed and said that this should have been done because we are all teammates. Two words, the comrades, that came out of his mouth sounded so far away. If you thought they were comrades, you wouldn't have persistently followed and attacked like that, right? You know that life and death are important. So Go Young San was even more excited. If that's the case, then it's okay to be a teammate now. No matter what happens, I won't abandon you and consider you a friend. It's true that it's only when it reaches the end that it appeared to be a kind person. You're going to use those words to get over this. You really have a thick skin. If you want to learn swordsmanship, you have to have a thick face. It won't hurt you to let someone you can't be my friend if you have the same ability as me. If you are free, then come to my industry group because I will respect your past feelings and help a little. Continuing this action, those are Yo Wol's extremely precious words. This girl promised that in the future she will also consider the male lead as her friend and will never betray her. At least the children who follow me treat her with respect. There won't be any such thing with you in the future. It's true that the desire for freedom is extremely terrible, so people will trade it at any cost. I don't have special thoughts about Pyo Wol and absolutely will not betray you. These are Yi Min's words. In general, the male lead doesn't care much. Anyway, they don't have any bad intentions, so he immediately telling the details of the restriction is ancient poison. Six eyes began to show doubts as if they wanted him to explain more thoroughly. We all got hit by ancient poison. It's a kind of poison. Poison. Normally they are sleeping inside our body if they react to the flute's sound waves and release poison. That poison circulates through the bloodstream while attacking the internal organs. So how can you avoid the spread of that ancient poison? I am inherently very strong in poison, so I will never be affected by it. Now that I have told everyone everything, you should find a way to lift the ban yourself. Go. In Pyo Wol's mind, he thought that the more variables there were, the better. If only one or two of them could escape control, it would create countless variables. In Yi Min's eyes, the male lead is an extremely special person to him. Pyo Wol is truly an elusive child. The more you look at him, the more magical he becomes. After hearing this, Pyo Wol didn't need to ask too much and promised that he would repay this in the future. If you need anything, just come find me and I will at least help as much as I can. In general, there's nothing to help, food and drinks are quite enough, it's just that they don't need to betray. Since there was nothing left to do, the four of them broke up. However, before leaving, Yi Min had some personal stories. With a very shy face, this girl said the 3 words Li Sol Min. In response to the curiosity about that sentence, she also explained in detail that this was her real name. In her heart, Yi Min is not sure if he will survive or not, so he just wants to tell the other person to always remember this name. It takes a while for the male lead to realize that this is Yi Min's real name. Also not sure why he said it like that. Most likely because of the ban, he was more sincere. For a moment, Pyo Wol's heart became sobbing, unlike usual. That he feels about other girls. Time passed very smoothly until a rather special day. The time in the outside world is currently morning, so every ray of sunlight is shining down on the space below. The one sword gathered everyone together and announced that today everyone would be able to go out. So after 7 years of hardship and death, the best children were released. Step out. They didn't expect this day to come because anyone who thought would surely die of old age or young death here still has absolute trust in Pyo Wol. Nyat Kiem understands leadership talent of this girl. The teachers come out first and then you are the rest, so you are responsible for leading them outside. After hearing that instruction, Pyo Wol seemed very happy. What the noose slowly pulled down in anticipation of the children. When Lim Sayul announced this, his mind was also very worried. Only a few of them survived, it was certain. These kids are all very strong, but the opponent has the potential to be almost an ultimate powerhouse, so how can they survive? Anyway, it's not about me anymore, it's not my responsibility anymore. It's over. Now I will put an end to this boring secret assassin life and retire. Just like that, the leaders went up first and below the children were eagerly waiting. Everyone screamed with joy again. Because I can finally go outside to breathe fresh air. Because the basket is not big, half go up first and Pyo Wol reads each person's name in turn. As for the male lead, I really don't believe it. Today I'll be able to go out. It's good to go out, but there's still that difficult task waiting for me. Because she knew this was going to happen, Pyo Wol was also sobbing. Seeing his teammate, Pyo Wol immediately asked about the ancient poison. According to what he said, there were a few people who had solved it and Yi Min was someone who knew a lot about poison. Reminder: when it comes to this girl, the male lead is very curious. I myself don't understand why I think so much about that person. No need to care about those expressions, Pyo Wol reminds me. It's the last trip, so please go out quickly. So the male lead had to say goodbye to Lil Na and go away for a while, not sure if he would come back here again. The rope was let down along very slowly. It's not clear how many more difficulties will await these poor kids. Everyone please hurry up because we are the last ones. After Pyo Wol pulled the string, a pulling force from above gradually pulled up. This moment is so long because how can the past 7 years be changed? Before entering here and after leaving has really changed the fate of many people. One more thing, the creator of this place really has a very formidable ability. To describe it thoroughly, this place is a true hell. Go Young San's voice rang out, reminding everyone that they were about to reach the well. Little lights were starting to seep into the weak eyes. Understand this. So the male protagonist hastily tore off his shirt to prepare to make a blindfold. A person who can never see light as soon as it approaches will definitely be temporarily blind. It's unclear where did this experience come from, but Pyo Wol immediately reminded others to follow his words. Understanding the good intentions of the people inside the basket, they also hastily did the same. Is it just like that? The atmosphere became more bustling and stuffy than ever. I couldn't see anything, just a big beam of sunlight shining. Even though I was covered with a scarf, it was still hard to feel it again. To feel the outside air. It's only natural because anyone who experiences it will feel the same way. All the kids on this last trip screamed. Just like that, everything it's okay and Nyat Kiem's words are right. No one lost their life and everyone is safe above. Haven't been able to get used to the outside atmosphere, so the whole group still sits quietly outside. In the basket. As soon as he saw the children with the best abilities coming last, the group leader also came forward. After seeing the young subordinates, he also smiled with satisfaction. If he could create these usable names, it would be really good. To be more specific, he definitely needs to be rewarded because his efforts are countless. Inside, the dark male protagonist gently used his senses and heard that commenting voice. The group leader thought that these were very capable children and could make the person who sent the entrustment letter satisfied. The air is so fresh and the sounds are mixed together. Even though we can't see anything, everyone knows in their hearts that they have actually made it outside. Voice as if he didn't have any feelings, he spoke like he was in a superior position. These are the male lead's preconceived thoughts about the person who just finished speaking. Personally, he thinks that this person must be probably the owner of the blood spirit group. Let's put them all in the carriage first and move them to Tan Fong Quang to adapt to the outside world. Indeed, this person is Ji Ju Yang, the owner of the blood spirit group. One by one, the children were arranged into carriages that had been prepared in advance. While preparing to leave, the male lead carefully hid this voice into his head. Perhaps this person is the source of his suffering for 7 years. Now that he has strength, he is agile and revenge is probably also possible. It will be impossible to leave. No one knows where it went or where it will go. The horse-drawn carriages trudged towards the pre-arranged place. It took until late at night for all the little assassins to arrive. These children remembered the instructions very well. The group leader, this place is where you rest and you will have to adapt to the outside world. Don't rest assured that once you get out, those who are lazy will directly suffocate you. There. It's not clear how they arranged it, but staying alone is impossible. Stabilizing a place to live is still very basic because men will live with men and women will live with women. Right after being assigned to stay with Pyo Wol, a few people were shy. The male lead understood that and asked everyone to do whatever they wanted and not have to pay attention to him. Go Young-san is always quick to point out what the hell needs to be done. It's unclear how long these teammates will stay together because the life of an assassin is very short. Because he wanted to be alone, Pyo Wol excused himself to take a shower and then left for another place. The children were only given a place to stay and no one knew what to do. Go Young-san was dumbfounded. Mumbled a few words. Right in front of the room, there was a small well just like the one when he was locked up. Pyo Wol went out to the yard to cool off and then rushed happily. Also, that's right, because I haven't showered in 7 years. How can I not be happy? If it were me, I would probably die from being dirty, everyone. After finishing personal matters, the male lead found a relaxing corner to lie down. Feeling the fresh weather. The cool moonlight and the chirping of crickets make my heart feel quite comfortable. The most miserable period has passed and this smile will probably not last long. Ending in the tunnels will definitely come with an extremely hard time. Being an assassin is like that, death is inevitable. Everyone wants to feel your life in the most precious way before unfortunately leaving life in an unsatisfactory way. However, compared to the eyes of outsiders, they are just a bunch of homeless people and no one cares whether they are alive or dead. Is it just that the children want to add a little sweet spice to their subconscious after the bitterness they had to swallow for the past 7 years? That's all. During this period of time, like what the union leader said, it's a time for everyone to adapt to the outside environment. Therefore, everyone is free to explore things around them. In this place, some children are acting very innocent when looking at the beautiful things in front of their eyes. Knowing clearly that this is a really brilliant flower, but no one can tell us what kind of flower it is. Then they started sobbing again because life is so precious and the person who kidnapped them was truly cruel. The male lead himself was the same. If this hadn't happened, maybe now I'm somewhere unknown and at peace with my begging. Those poetic and peaceful scenes will soon be gone. Because right now the union leader appeared. He is a cold person and with his nature as an assassin, it is impossible to accept nonsense like this. Very soon a subordinate came forward and threw straight for 2 small knives. Distribute the weapons and store them well, it won't be long before you use them. This incident has made the male protagonist wake up and accept the truth. Now I'm an assassin. It's not natural that they brought me to the training site and then brought me back here. In general, Pyo Wol's purpose was already known, so I wasn't surprised at all. Very much. Along with the arduous training that followed, right now in the Great Moon Hall of the Blood Spirit Group. The leader of the group met Nyat Kiem after a very long time before being able to talk to. The two were like longtime friends and were chatting very passionately. Jiu Yang picked up a cup of tea and immediately poured it into the cup and said that he had worked so hard recently. This is a natural thing that I had to do and there is no difficulty at all. Thanks to the sacrifices of my uncle and others, the group's capital has become rich. I don't know how to repay it. Here, what Lim Sayol was waiting for has also come because the union leader has allowed him to rest comfortably after training the children. To be more specific, this person has given the most permission. Having been in hiding for a long time. With what has been said and the assassin's reputation, this is something that cannot be called a lie. Not only the uncle but also the 2 swords and 3 swords I have, we can arrange for them to retreat and rest comfortably. After listening, the other person seemed very satisfied and took another sip of tea. Thuk has devoted his whole life to the blood spirit group, so he must express it. Is that my good intention? It's very good that it's like that, but Lim Sayol sighing like that is very sad. He expressed regret because he only used these children once and had to throw them all away. Obviously, in the position of a teacher, everyone will feel that way. If they only use them once and then throw them away, their abilities and qualities are already excellent. The group leader knows that and recognizes the children's abilities, but there is no other way because the blood spirit group's relationship with the children is only that much. I don't know if he can still capture people. Who is the trustee? If you've worked as an assassin, it's not a good idea to get to know the entruster too closely. There's no reason to cause trouble for an important person, and the entrustment letter is worth 500,000 amount of gold. By saying this, everyone will know better what the leader's feelings are. In fact, he really wants to make his blood spirit group have equal strength. The strongest group of assassins is the devil, so no matter how careful you are, this will not be enough. As long as you complete the requirements this time, the blood spirit group will have a great leap forward. If so, then capturing hundreds of ghosts to practice is not impossible. To be frank, with those thoughts, it is a very far-fetched matter for the ability of the blood spirit group at this time. Temporarily ignore with those personal thoughts. Let's go to the male protagonist training day. Trying out the basic weapon of an assassin in his hand, there are countless confusing thoughts in his head. What are you doing? Why are you so thoughtful that you're about to go on a mission and feel scared? In general, Go Young-san's statement is true because to a certain extent everyone will feel that way. This fake thing is lying again and you'll be scared if you're scared. The dogs in the neighborhood would probably burst out laughing if they heard it. They both started arguing with each other about whether they were afraid or not if they became a high-class assassin. Unlike Pyo Wol's thoughts, everyone is looking forward to this mission. Partly because they want to be free and desire to complete the mission so they can return to avenge the hardships of the past. When it comes to revenge, the male protagonist also has the same thoughts. From outside, the voices of the seniors rang out, asking everyone to prepare the weapons they had received and prepare to go out. They said they were looking forward to the mission, but looking at everyone's faces, they all became very excited. Tension. It's not clear what will await these children. From now on you will secretly move to this place with me. This is an order and everyone right now will have to follow suit. Finally, the moment to accept the mission has come. As an assassin, operating late at night is a very basic thing. Hidden in that vast darkness, the sounds of howling in the wind continuously rang out. In the eyes of a normal person, we can only perceive the sounds of animals and insects making noises. But if we follow the eyes of the viewer, we can see that the 4 swords are leading the team of young assassins. The darkness is a very careful disguise and everyone's speed is very fast. As soon as they sense the talent of these children, the trainer feels quite satisfied because no one is falling behind. Left behind. In his heart, the 4 swords realized that all 3 of his brothers had raised these children very well. It was true that not only was it good, but their psychology was very good. Is steadfast. There is also another similar thought to 1 sword. which is that Four Swords expressed regret for only using these kids once. If compared to the veteran members, their abilities are not inferior at all. The whole group kept running and running until they reached a certain location and then stopped. In the dark of night, they still had no idea how to go. Where to go next? Right in front of the four-sword cliff. Look up at the towering mountain in front of your eyes and ask to stop. Is the mission going to be a request to move to the next location? If you want to know, please subscribe to the channel and follow me. The Four Swords ask all these assassins to stop and find a hiding place that is difficult to detect. Listen to the fate with that command. One after another, the shadows disappeared in just a blink of an eye. It is true that the assassin escaped and was present. No one knew when he left and no one knew when he came back. Your goal is the mountain up there, the Four Swords said and pointed. If you go up according to my instructions, you will see a place similar to the place where you lived for 7 years. Among them is your goal. Everyone will be in Manhwa Recap. Listening to the song, everyone understands that if they are in the Tan sect, it must be in the suburbs bordering Sichuan. Everyone also understands one more thing. They are going through the shortest route to get there, but who is that person in Manhwa Palace that took 7 years to cultivate? This is a common question for everyone, but the male protagonist alone has already had the answer. Just like that, the group of assassins of the Blood Spirit group hid until dawn. Not for now. It's clear how they will act, but the scene is transferred to the headquarters of the Na-Mi sect. The eldest disciple of the Emi sect's leader is now a very beautiful lady. Not only is she beautiful, but her talent and intelligence are also very strong. She still goes to the lake to look at the flowers and enjoy the fresh air as always. That happy space was immediately taken over. Destroy it as soon as someone comes. Go Wa Satya always has a very special interest in this disciple. Not only talking about talent or intelligence and martial arts, but there is also one thing something made her very attentive. As soon as she saw her master's question about why she was here, Sol Ren unconsciously turned around. According to the description, the matriarch of the Na-Mi sect was an old woman. Although he is over 80 years old, he has practiced martial arts, so his charisma becomes very special. Having regained his composure, Sol Ren also replied to Go Wa Satya very respectfully. It's just that the cool wind is blowing, so I went outside to enjoy it. Whether in the past or now, you all have such unnecessary feelings. Is it because you still blame your master? Sol Ren has no complaints, just regrets. It's a matter related to my life. I hope you can give me a little sympathy. Receiving an unsatisfactory sentence, Go Wa Satya made an angry face. She started, tell me about your merits. I adopted you from a young age, brought you food, water, and taught you martial arts to create my current noble image. But the disciple I loved the most said he wanted to sympathize. Is really annoyed. It's not clear what happened between the two and why Sol Ren became like that. Since it's a master's order, of course the disciple must obey, so don't being too angry is very bad for your health. If by today they don't give us the answer we want, we will have to follow the plan we have prepared for 7 years. Steps once on this path of martial arts, Sol Ren no longer has to worry about anything and will obey his master in everything. However, it's really pitiful for this person because everything is so overwhelming. Force. Obviously, getting married to a man from the Tan sect who you've never met before is too uncomfortable. The two were planning something when another disciple hurriedly came to tell the news. It's not clear what's going on, but I can only see that Zheng Hua's appearance is very urgent. According to what this woman said, a contact letter has been sent to. In the content of the photo the letter is not clear, but the other party also made the proposal that Nam-I was looking for. Knocking the monster staff hard on the ground, Go Wa Satya seemed very satisfied. So in the end Sol Ren will have to follow your master's wishes. From now on you must do well. Your sect's destiny depends on what you do. Having said that, she also expressed regret because it is impossible to make this talented child the successor of the sect leader in the future, but can only use him as a tool. It is true that evil gangsters have no love, only interests are school. Only last forever. Temporarily ignoring those nonsense, Zheng Hua continued to ask his master the next questions. Obviously, before doing this, Go Wa Satya also had a plan B and plan C. In fact, she was the one who sent the letter of authorization to the Blood Federation. Jianghu's intention was to ask what to do now if she had hired them to assassinate them. The amount of money to pay for that order is not small, so Go Satya is having a lot of headaches. It's not clear how she will do it, but the scene is moved to the mountain where the Blood Assassin group is located. The Federation is lying in wait. Because it is daytime, no one is taking action. From underneath that layer of rock, all these assassins are hiding and waiting. The male protagonist is not sure how much time has passed and he is getting impatient because it is still morning. The assassination will begin in the evening, so there is still some time to rest now. I'm more used to being in the dark than being outside. I'm lucky to be able to rest and wait like this. It's true that for a long time living in the dark as a child, it's only natural that I would be like that. Up above, all the senses were felt by the male protagonist. Every movement, the gentle breeze, and the rustling of the trees were also present. Within sight. The other location is not far away, so the only thing needed now is to wait. Suddenly Pyo Wol feels something very uneasy in his heart. It was too strange and he couldn't even answer it himself. Starting from that thought, sharp spears were immediately stabbed down from above. Right next to one of the fields. His unlucky team took it all. I can't believe that even if we hide so carefully, we can still be discovered. Before we could even do anything about the plan, someone died. This is truly a disaster. It's a bad omen. Pyo Wol felt scared because on his first day of work he was like this and didn't know what would happen later. The children's painful screams echoed throughout the forest.